The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Monday, the 13th day of January 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy second full work week. Traditional work week, I should say, of 2025. And hopefully everyone had a wonderful weekend and is excited and happy to return to what they do for a living. No, seriously. There were a lot of people who went back to jobs in 2025 who were not happy. So I really do hope everyone who is privileged to have a job and do something for a living is returning to some place they enjoy being. David Michael Wilson says he's wishing all a marvelous Monday. Suzanne Ingham says, awesome Monday, Jamel and Maya. And a marvelous Monday to you, David. An awesome Monday to you, Suzanne. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today, as we're going to discuss absentee voting for Bermudians. We've got some daily play today. A daily play on Monday is now no longer the quote. We're going to be doing some Bermuda trivia. So we're also, again, if you don't know the answer, it's okay. Many of us don't know things, so we'll have some fun with it. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe on our website if you haven't already, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right. We've got Mark Arthur C. Phillips. He says, good morning, TDH fam. And we've got Kenton Trott says, wishing you a great week, TDH fam. Indeed. And a good morning to you, Mark, and wishing you a great week as well, Kenton Trott. Let's jump right into today's conversation. Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the Premier of Bermuda, the Honorable David Burt, called for a general election by dropping the writ last week at Government House. We all knew that an election was going to be called in 2025. I don't think that was the shocker. I think the timing of when was a shocker. And there's been some people up in arms about it for various reasons. One of the biggest reasons people are up in arms is because of students. David Burt has made it a point to communicate and engage with students, whether he's in London meeting with Bermudian students or even doing appearances with Bermuda Youth Connect. It's politics, right? David Burt, someone said it last week, and it's true, right? The Honorable former Premier Paula Cox, she was blamed for the 2012 loss because she waited too long. Many people felt she should have called the election much earlier when there was instability on the other side, BDA, UBP, eventually becoming the OBA. And David Burt, he's did it in 2020 and he's doing it in 2025. He is calling an election at a time when he thinks that he will have an advantage and lead his party to a third consecutive victory. So the question we're going to focus for the purpose of today's conversation, one of the big topics is absentee voting. But before we jump into it, do us a favor. If you haven't already, make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share this conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We want as many people to engage and be a part of these community conversations. There is a poll out right now, which Maya will go into more detail about, for young people, for students only. But for the purposes of this conversation, we're not just talking about students. There's a bigger deal here, and this conversation began long ago. If people remember, this was in the One Bermuda Alliance platform back in 2012. They won the election, and I don't know what became of it, but we don't have absentee voting. So people have been calling for absentee voting for quite a while, decades. It's been something that not as of late, many students have been calling for. And with the calling of this election and the date for February 18th, it makes sense. But let's go back. Let's talk about it. What are your thoughts on absentee voting? And for the purposes of this conversation, we're not just talking about students. We're talking about people who reside overseas. In the United States, obviously there are many Americans living overseas who are allowed to take part in the process. They have military people, diplomats, but also just regular everyday American. They contribute. I know people will say, oh, well, why should Bermudians who reside overseas be allowed to vote? Many reasons, especially if they own property, own businesses, still pay taxes, but most of all, because it's their home. If they own a passport, a Bermudian status passport, why should they not be able to vote? Now, I know some people will say, oh, well, no, they have a right to vote elsewhere. Why should they be able to make decisions for me when they're not even here? They're Bermudian. That comes with being born there, right? It should be. So the question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on absentee voting? What are your thoughts on absentee voting? And do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? Do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? That's a yes or no question. Do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? I believe the current terms must be a regular resident of Bermuda, I think 6 months or something like that. I mean, technically, they can't really rule me out. I'm in Bermuda pretty often. I have an updated Bermuda license. I have Bermudian businesses. I pay taxes in Bermuda. I mean, I'm trying to say this and be serious without calling anyone out, but we had the registrar on the show last year, and she kind of laid out the rules. But what I found fascinating is they could remove me from the registrar, right? Like I'm not registered to vote. They remove me. But I can name 10 Bermudians who live outside of Bermuda who are still on there. And I'm just like, the fact that it can be stated that, well, we know you don't live here because you want to, really tells me how disorganized, unorganized, and just nearly corrupt Bermuda is in this respect. Because you have no real way of telling whether someone doesn't reside in Bermuda. And that goes to a bigger problem in showing how many people have left Bermuda. I'm an easy target, but that also exposes a bigger problem on the island. But anyway, what are your thoughts on absentee voting? And do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? All right. Hadeline Swan says yes. Charles H. Jeffers II says yes. Sherilyn Johnson says yes. Marquita Lee says yes. WKD Lama says yes, everyone should be able to vote. Michelle White says yes, Bermudians should be able to vote. There's no way to prove if someone lives here or not. Look, especially if they're still offering, like allowing you to get a license, or if you have a passport, or if you have a stamp in a passport saying registered Bermudian. How could you be a registered Bermudian but not be registered to vote? It's a sham. It's a sham. And folks, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not one of those people. I'm very different from all you folks who be like, oh, it's your duty to vote and this and that. I don't care whether you vote or not. I really don't. I'm not that person that's going to tell people it's you have to vote because our ancestors fought for this or that. Our ancestors fought for a lot of things that you all ignore. The message I'm simply saying is the option, that right, there's no legitimate argument. Like there's no like way that you can say, well, Jamal was taken off the register, but these 10 other people haven't been. And wait for it, they've lived outside of Bermuda longer than Jamal has. That's the crazy thing. It exposes something, and I think it's important, folks. It exposes a big problem in our community. Again, what are your thoughts on absentee voting, and do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? Suzanne Ingham says, you should be able to vote, Jamal. Tell them about their corruption. I'm with you. Nakita Lee says, absentee voting is way overdue. Kenton Trott says, yes, he believes Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote. Sure. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says, yes, if you are born in Bermuda and have an invested interest in Bermuda real estate business, you should be able to vote. I don't, let's say I didn't own a business or have real estate. I think I should still be able to vote. There are Bermudians who live outside Bermuda who don't have any real estate or they don't have any business, but in my opinion, they still have a right to vote. They contributed to the island, I'm sure, before they left. If they had a job, even if they were children, their families contributed to Bermuda, right? So I don't think it should come down to whether someone has money or not, because at the end of the day, real estate and business implies someone with money should have that right and others shouldn't. If you were born in Bermuda and are a registered Bermudian, you should be able to be a registered voter. It's that simple. And if that's the case, you should be able to vote as an absentee. That's my simple opinion. I think that it's not only long overdue, it just stinks of some sort of unethical corruption for those in power or who have power to maintain it. Again, folks, please make sure you share the link. Do us that favor. A lot of you don't do it. Just share the link, whether you're on Facebook, on YouTube, copy the link, copy that and share that link in your WhatsApp group messages. But this conversation, because all of us have family, friends, someone who lives overseas that would love to have a say in Bermuda. And we always talk about Bermudians returning and getting Bermudians back home. Well, don't you think if they had a say, saying, you know what, I'm not happy with the direction of the island, let me make sure my vote counts so that I have a better opportunity to decide if I want to come back with a new and some may be happy with the government and with the way it's going. And they may want to keep them there. But I think it goes a long way to helping people decide if they want to return. Again, question of the morning, what are your thoughts on absentee voting? And do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? Do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? Cherie Dill says, yes, in particular, if they encourage Bermudians to return back home, they should maintain their interest in the future of the country. Bingo. That's what I just said. That absolutely. If they maintain their interest in Bermuda, like this is something, if you were serious about Bermudians returning home, you would involve them in the political process. I'll tell you what, I'm going to use myself, and this is not to be arrogant, but I would argue that there are few Bermudians who remain as vested and interest in, there are few Bermudians outside of Bermuda who remain as interested as a person like me in the state of the island. But yet I can name those 10 other Bermudians I know who've been overseas, some longer than me, but are still, when they check, are still registered voters. And they have no interest, some of them. They don't even want to stay connected to the island because of reasons they feel they're not there. It stinks. It really does. And this is not about me, folks. Seriously, because like I told you, I probably wouldn't vote. And I know you all saying, oh, that's your right. No. I've chosen not to vote in elections. But that should be my right, my option if I chose not to vote. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, the current legislation says one must be ordinarily resident in Bermuda. Ordinarily resident is very subjective. I remember when she said that. The registrar said that on the show. I remember when she said that. We can ask in court, what does that even mean? I mean, technically, someone can say I'm ordinarily a resident. And some people say, oh, 6 months at a time. I don't even think Bermudians in Bermuda 6 months at a time. It stinks. And it's 2025, and the government, known for fighting for the rights of people, has done anything but that, probably since 2003, when they fought for the one man, one vote. Remember, say what you want about Dame Jennifer Smith, but they still seem to be fighting for something back then. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II says, Mark Arthur, I don't believe that having a business or property should be a criterion. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I said that earlier. And he goes on to say that harkens back to the days when you had to have property to vote. And that's my point in saying that, Mark. I get what you mean, but you don't want to rule anybody out, because it tends to look like, well, if someone has real estate or business, then they're worth more, they deserve something others don't. No, that implies that someone needs money to have a say. No. But I get you, Mark, not going against you, just shedding more light to that. All right. Questions of the morning. What are your thoughts on absentee voting? Do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? Nicole Walker says, yes, every Bermudian here and overseas should be able to vote. Absentee voting comes up every time there's an election, yet no progress has been made. I'm telling you, this is not new, folks. This is not new. Again, I remember the first time I saw it in a platform was the One Bermuda Alliance in 2012. Why did it not happen? I don't know. But some would say that's part of the reason. But I want to say something to you. So the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party responded to Bermuda Youth Connect and a bunch of others who were calling for, speaking of absentee voting for college students and the state of calling of the election. And the PLP's response was pretty much like, it's something that, we're basically vote for us and we'll do it. Let me tell you all something about stuff like that. Number one, don't you ever vote until you get what you've asked for. Ask me how I know. 2007. Oh, we'll take care of conscription after the election. 2012. Oh, we'll take care of conscription after the election. Ask yourself what happened. Number two, if nothing else I say this morning, let me speak to your hearts. Listen, and listen carefully. There will be many press releases that will be released by either political party over the next several weeks, just like the one the PLP released regarding the absentee voting. Do not allow someone, an individual who wants your vote, to hide behind these press releases. Yes, the party has spoken through a press release. They can say to us, to the media, we've already addressed that, the party addressed that. You make those. I'm sorry, I got muted for a second. But when they come into your place, what you want to ensure is that they answer that question directly. You want to ensure that they give you a statement, not the political PR stuff, but you want to know how each and every one of them feels about absentee voting. And make them say it loud. This is the era of social media. If they want to come in your house, got them on video, got them on audio. Do it. Hold them accountable. When they get elected, you have video, you have audio, send it to them. It's time for a different kind of accountability. How many of you would actually do that? Start recording them. Hold them accountable. It's too many people who don't align with the premier, but yet they stand next to him. As far as I'm concerned, if you're in the car when the incident takes place, you're an accomplice. We don't care if you like the individual or not. Makes sense? Question of the morning. What are your thoughts on absentee voting? And do you believe Bermudians who reside overseas should be eligible to vote? What are your thoughts? Let's go back to the comments. Nicole Walker says, yes, every Bermudian here or overseas should be able to vote. Oh, yeah, we went through that one. Sorry, Nicole. Charles H. Jefferson II, he says, also, I keep hearing if they were born in Bermuda. I don't agree with that. It should be any person who is Bermudian, regardless of where they were born. Indeed, I agree. A status Bermudian. Traveling Trotty says, yes, all should be allowed to vote. Once absentee voting is in place, I guess that means a 6-week notice of an election period will have to change. Okay. Brianna Ball Roach says, I have dual citizenship, and while I'm here in Bermuda, I can only utilize the absentee vote option for the U.S. election if I claim on that form that I have intentions of returning to the U.S. And fair, they can add something like that for Bermuda. You know? WKD Lama says, what is the reasoning to prevent absentee voting? That's a good question. One of the reasons that has been given has been fraud. I know for years it was talked about in terms of fraud, like how do we fix that, right? And it's legitimate. It's legitimate, folks. You know, it's legitimate. I think it's a valid argument. It's a valid argument that needs to be considered. But if fraud is a reason, fair point. Fair point. Fair point. Brianna Ball wrote says, but I agree that overseas registered Bermudians should be able to vote in Bermuda. Look, I see absolutely no reason other than playing politics. I see absolutely no reason other than playing politics for to keep Bermudians out of it. None. Sorry, folks. The only reason that makes sense is political. That's the only reason that makes sense. It's political. Outside of that, no one's given me a reason. No one has given me a reason as to why it doesn't make sense. Let's go to, we've got Renee Simmons says, I believe a fixed date, say every 4 years for voting should have been long implemented. This would stop all the snap election. Well, we're not talking about that this morning. That'll be another conversation, but thank you for that. We're talking about absentee voting this morning, Renee. Michelle White says, any Bermudian on or holding a Bermuda passport, regardless of location, should be able to vote. Okay. Well, we'll talk about fixed term elections in another show. We're talking about absentee voting today. We're talking about absentee voting. Absentee voting. All right. We'll talk about fixed terms on another show. Let's stay focused. Let's stay focused today. All right. We're going to take a break, and we'll bring Maya Palacio in for an extended news break. And, you know, if you have, I was going to say if you have children, but no, if you have family, people who are, you know, overseas and students or the like, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to today's show, because I think we're going to have some options for them when we come up with Maya. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes and 11 seconds with the Daily Hour news break. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic, and waterproof shoes.
We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone.
With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talk, and DeWalt. The list goes on.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
Bermuda Trivia, the Black History Edition, is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com or email contact@bermudatrivia.com to learn more.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to all of you for making sure we can do this with you on a daily basis. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy. Don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, if you haven't already, make sure you give us a like, a love, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Yeah, let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. How are you?
You know, I'm feeling very, let's say, I read a lot last night. I've been up for quite a bit of hours, so I'm just feeling all that's going on this morning, especially when it comes to a general election. There's just so much to know.
It is, isn't it? And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And a lot of people are in their feelings about a general election, you know. Yeah, it's a lot, Maya. And I think, you know, it's, as I said last week, you probably got your work cut out for you over the next couple months, but couple weeks, several weeks. But thank you for what you're doing in terms of retrieving the information so that people can engage and have more clarity, because as generations, you know, age and new people come along, the information is going to need to be received differently as well. So yeah, what you got for us today?
Indeed, just as you said that, indeed, that is something that has to continuously happen, as the new people who have been now can register to vote probably don't even know the process, because again, we're still living in the age of we're not learning all these things in school. So it's another thing of just like having to teach the next generation. All right, well, good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour news break brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. So Bermuda, we're starting out your news break this morning with some devastating, heartbreaking news, as an 18-year-old female has died after a serious road traffic collision. Now, this happened on Friday, January the 10th. The Bermuda Police Service can confirm that she succumbed to her injuries after the incident, which is said to have involved a motorcycle and one other vehicle that occurred in Paget Parish around 2:30 p.m. last Friday. The investigation to this matter continues, and anyone with information is asked to contact Constable DeForest Evans on 717-0860. Again, you can speak to an officer you know as well, or call 211. Her death marks the first road fatality for Bermuda in 2025.
Man, that hurts. And I think I speak for all of us here, the TDH community, just sending love to the family, friends of that young lady. Something about parents having to memorialize their children and bury their children makes me very uncomfortable. And I just send love to the family and community and all who knew this young lady.
Agreed. No parent should ever have to bury their child.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, meanwhile, in political news, what we have for you today is that PLP MP Joshay Adams has responded to new independent candidates' announcements and of Sir John Swan's support for the candidate, who is Susie Aruda. So in an argument, he moves to saying that this move is an attempt to divide the electorate and suggests it aligns with the One Bermuda Alliance's agenda. He said that Sir John Swan's independent movement is, quote, not a new voice for progress, but rather an effort to prop up the same old policies that prioritize the wealthy, privileged few over the rest of us. So as we go into this general election, we're definitely sure to see more statements coming from other parties in regards to their opponents when we go in to get these votes being done by the community.
think that's so ridiculously stupid. And I think, audience, hear me out when I say ridiculously stupid. For Judge Adams or Joshay, however it's pronounced, let's say Mr. Adams, because I don't want to be disrespectful. That's ridiculous. And as he likely won't be an MP no more after the election, probably Senate lead if the PLP are victorious. But so focused on the OBA, right now, people want to hear from you on what you are going to do better. People want to hear from you about you. David Burt stood there talking about the party of the elites. Bro, that's how people feel about your PLP administration, party for Black elites. Outside of the PLP elite, there aren't many Black people who are feeling the benefits, I honestly, folks, if these kind of people, if Mr. Adams comes to your doorstep, please make sure he gets the ride. His focus needs to be on you. His focus needs to be on your concerns, not what Sir John or the OBA have going on. But I digress. You all can vote. I can't.
Well, moving into more political news that has to do with actually voting, and these are some really important dates that everyone should be well aware of. But in advance of the general election, the public should note that the voter registration period is currently open and will close at 5 p.m. on January the 16th. So that's this Thursday, January the 16th, 5 p.m., that the voter registration period will close. So all eligible voters are strongly encouraged to check and update their voter registration details to ensure accuracy before the deadline. You could do so by going to elections.gov.bm or the Parliamentary Registry building in Hamilton as well. Also, one other important notice is that voter ID cards will not be issued during the 7-day registration period, but they will resume come Monday, January the 20th.
Okay, thank you for that. Audience, just want to check the audience real quickly. Yes or no? Are you registered to vote? Yes or no? Are you registered to vote? I want to see from the live audience right now, how many of you are registered to vote? Yes or no? Go ahead, Maya.
All right, so in other news, and this one has to do with transportation, we know the weather's been really spotty out there, but due to current weather conditions right now, the latest forecast, the ferry services on routes have been suspended until further notice. Now, you may recall that they were suspended I believe it was on Friday, and then they opened back up, they're suspended again. So the Department of Marine and Port Services is closely monitoring conditions and will provide updates as soon as it is safe for the services to resume. So if you're looking for the latest information, go to marineandports.bm. But as of right now this morning, it's still closed.
I ain't getting on the ferry on a good day. Rough weather, I'm sorry. That's just me.
That's fair. So this one actually is quite a story that I think if you're like me, if you've already gone through the whole university process, but you were definitely well involved into the BermudaScholarships.com page and used that frequently and probably didn't know how to use it, they have finally updated their website. So this new story is definitely out for all the students, also people who participate, but they've unveiled a new modernized website, making it easier for students and award providers and employees to connect. So after 12 years of service, the platform now offers a streamlined, user-friendly design that simplifies the scholarship application process. So each year, BermudaScholarships.com helps students access over $5 million in scholarship funds across various industries. So the revamped site also features a dedicated section for employers to post internships and job opportunities, so boosting workforce development in the same place. So students and award providers will need to update their profiles, and training sessions for students and award providers will be available in January and February 2025 to prepare them for the upcoming scholarship deadlines, which will be in April and May of 2025.
Okay. Got those scholarships, folks.
I'm telling you, apply always. And definitely go to training sessions, know how to use the platform, definitely to your benefit as well, because that's something that you definitely would need to know. All right, so the top story that we have for you today, and we mentioned it this morning, and we already kind of talked about it in depth, but we're talking about the timing of the general election and how it impacts Bermudian students overseas. Particularly, we're talking absentee ballots. So here's a quick rundown, a little bit of recap of the history, and also what's going on right now in Bermuda when it comes to absentee votes and ballots. Here we go. We've gotten word from organizations like Bermuda Youth Connect, Bermuda Is Love, and persons like Taj Donville Otterbridge, as well as other voices on the mass disappointment of the February 18th general election day and how it will impact the overseas student vote. Within the release of these statements, like this one from Bermuda Youth Connect that read, "Young people are critical to improving our island, yet for many young people, this election would have been their first opportunity to vote since the 2020 snap election, particularly as the government has yet to progress on its 2012 plan to, quote, examine various options surrounding absentee ballots. Young people abroad will be unable to vote." Now, the PLP government addressed the timing by saying that while we recognize that this timing presents challenges for Bermudians who will be unable to participate, we remain committed to ensuring fair and accessible elections for all Bermudians. Out of a commitment to youth participation, we are planning a voter registration drive at Bermuda College to encourage young people to get registered or update their registration. We recognize the frustration of students who may be unable to return home to vote. Unfortunately, Bermuda's electoral laws currently do not allow for absentee voting. Although the party did make it clear that it has been an issue since, quote, every election held since universal adult suffrage, they did go on to say that it is something they should revise our electoral laws in the future to better reflect the realities of today. Ironically, it was also in 2015 when the OBA government was in power when they made a pledge in their throne speech to amend the same law. The relevant portion of the throne speech said, quote, "The government, through the Ministry of Home Affairs, will introduce amendments to the Parliamentary Elections Act of 1978 to permit all registered voters studying abroad at recognized educational institutions to have the right to vote in absentia." Clearly that did not happen, and previous throne speeches before from the OBA made their willingness to change the law and did not. And to add more irony, it was the OBA who, quote, criticized the Progressive Labour Party for a failure to fast-track the electoral change by the 2020 general election, when they had many years to make the change as well. Makes you wonder, what is keeping the government from making this change? Is there a negative we are not seeing? Now, although Bermuda does not do absentee voting, according to elections.gov.bm, persons who expect to be off island or in hospital on polling day may vote at an advanced polling approximately 1 week before. Certificates of intended absence or incapacity are required. But I want to close by seeing what other nations do, specifically those who are CARICOM members, have absentee ballots or voting. Today for this broadcast, we will look at students who are enrolled and members of Bahamas who do have absentee voting. We'll have the rest of the CARICOM nations for tomorrow's broadcast.
Well, thank you. Can I call you Media Maya for that?
You can call me Media Maya.
Thank you, Media Maya. I have so much to say. Can I just say a few?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't like the fact we're having this conversation in 2025. I think all of us who are engaging in this conversation right now should feel some sort of shame that we're having this conversation in 2025. This is something that reminds me of women not having the right to vote, of Black people not having the right to vote. This is something that reminds me, as someone said earlier, of needing to own property to have the right to vote. I don't think we're angry enough about this. And I'm glad that we've got aspiring MP Misha Foblet in the audience today, because we keep saying how he's one of the good ones. I couldn't run for a party knowing that they've had time to do this, and they haven't. My conscience would not allow me to do that. The PLP will be releasing their platform after nomination day, it's been said. If you believe they're the best option, have them do that within the first 6 sittings of the House. Or have them put in their platform the right to recall your MP. We have to get serious about this, because I don't think we're understanding how taking that right away from people, or not giving people that right, as students, even those who were not as interested in politics, are disgusted and disturbed, because for nothing else, they want to participate. So you can run off at the mouth, Mr. Premier, about the amount of money that your government has given for scholarships. But keep in mind, you're giving these young people scholarships to go into these institutions of higher learning. Chances are they're gaining some intelligence and some intellectual capacity where they can see through your BS. But again, audience, this is on us. We're not angry enough about this. Where are the Curtis Dickinsons and Renee Mings and the Tanae Ferberts and the Emily Gail Dills and Misha Foblet? The people I know, or I've said on this show, are good people. But hold on, I'm not done. OBA, I said it earlier. 2007, we'll take her a conscription after the election. 2012, we'll take her a conscription after the election. I know what it's like to be lied to by politicians who will sit on your couch and tell you this stuff. We need to start demanding that these folks deliver the goods, because they'll cry and tell you your ancestors fought for your right to vote so that you vote for them. And then in hopes that you just go sit back, do nothing, say nothing until the next election when they guilt you into voting again. That's not why your ancestors fought for your right to vote. OBA, it's kind of, you do have blood on your hands in this, because it was in your 2012 platform. And as Maya just shared, in 2015, it was in a throne speech. Now, it can be said that many in the OBA have been flushed out from then, and it's a new group of people. It's the same organization, and I get why people will have those reservations. But you now have an opportunity to make it one of your big issues, that everyone who's of age and a status Bermudian, let's start with students, because that's easy, should have a right to vote. It's not cheap flying back from the UK. And even if it was, students belong in class during that time. Audience, I don't hear you. Are you listening to me? Do you feel what I'm saying, audience? We shouldn't be having this conversation in 2025. Maya?
You know what's eerie about when I was doing the research for just understanding the history, like how far back does it go? How long we've been asking for this as an island? And I found even some Facebook groups that were made like 13 years ago that had to do with changing this exact law. And they came together as a group to try to make it happen. There were also different articles written by students at that time in the early 2000s about how the OBA put it in their throne speech, and that they are so happy, they feel like they are going to receive the fruits of their labor, and this is going to come into fruition, which it did not. And then there are other op-eds as well back in that same time period about like this happening. basically, Jamal, exactly what is happening right now. It was kind of eerie to read and to see, because the exact same conversations that were then are the ones that, just haven't changed, unfortunately. And so I think that was like probably the biggest takeaway of that story. And again, kind of questioning, and I know you mentioned earlier that one of the reasons is because of fraud, but also why not? Why, like, what other reason can there be that this has not become a law that's been passed through? So I'm going to continue to do some more digging, but until then, I have created a survey, sorry, that I am hoping to get out to as many university students as possible, university, college, Bermudian students overseas and on island, to see just how much that this timing of the election has impacted them, and also not having the absentee, ballots accessible to them from Bermuda's parliament and our government at this present moment. So hoping to get data on those, because we've been hearing about the disappointments. Now I want to actually get the figures to be able to show you guys just how much is impacting. We've already gotten quite a large number, which I'm happy about, over just not even 24 hours yet. And we hope to keep getting more. And I will put the updates on my personal page daily, hopefully every 24 hours, until we get the full story for you guys to present here on the show and on Media Maya. But we already got a lot of comments from the students and a lot of people showing and expressing how they feel about the timing and what they think that it means from the government to their own future in Bermuda.
And an audience, if you have a young person in your life, like a student who is overseas, please have them fill out this survey. Many of you have relatives, children, godchildren, cousins, nieces, nephews, even family friends, right? Children in the neighborhood. If you have a student who is currently, they don't even have to be interested in politics. We just want to hear from them. We're trying to gather actual data, right? David Burke, the Premier of Bermuda, he loves to discredit. He loves to say, oh, I'm not taking no Royal Gazette scientific poll. The way this poll is done, this is almost as scientific as it gets, right? We cannot continue to allow people like the Premier to dismiss the feelings of so many just because he feels how he feels. Please, if you know someone, have them fill out this survey. It's for students only. All right.
And they can be Bermuda College students as well.
Right.
Any Bermudian student in college or university, 18 and older.
Thank you for that clarification, because I definitely didn't say that. But yes, please. Maya, before you go into the next story, I just want to go back, because we did ask the audience if they're registered to vote, right? And Renee Simmons said yes. Mark Arthur C. Phillips said yes. Shawnette Bell said yes. Misha Fubler said yes. Karen Simmons, yes. Lorna Miner said yes. NTS said yes. Marquita Lee says yes. Heavenly Swan said yes. Suzanne Ingham said yes, registered to vote, and I will be voting. And Sean Smith says no, I do not have a Bermuda address. So that's what we got so far.
We do have some comments coming up on Instagram as well. I don't want to leave those left behind. We got someone from Kathy.Rogers says yes as well to the question, and Mima_for life says yes as well to whether or not they are also registered to vote. Someone else, Scotty441, said it's like we're trapped in the Stone Age living in modern times. Yeah, in regards to us talking about this whole absentee ballot.
Yeah. And since we're on Instagram, yes, on Kathy PXO said, unfortunately, we as a people are not as committed to change as we say. We make noise for 2 weeks, then move on. Accountability is not exercised in Bermuda. Audience, I want to echo that, because this has been said by politicians for ages. A former OBA politician, I remember them saying, these people will just complain for a couple. That's what the way the BTA actually thinks now. Bermudians will be up in arms for a couple of weeks, and then they'll let it go. And this is why we get treated the way we do, because they feel like we complain and then we move on to the next issue. We got to stay hungry. Former Premier Paula Cox, she was very complimentary, as much as we annoyed her, complimentary of Bermudians against the draft, because it was like, one thing, they're consistent. We fought for over 15 years. I don't think people realize that. An entire part of our lives. I'm saying that because you can't show up right now fighting for something and then go missing. This is continuous. Go ahead, MP. Sorry.
Well, I mean, that story there was my last, and just to encourage people to please fill out the survey. We'll put the link as well in the comment section so you can share the survey as well with anyone that you know. Because now I'm just going to leave you guys with the weather, and it's looking cloudy with occasional sunny periods, so better than it was before. Hopefully, you don't see any hail today on the island, but the winds are still going to be fairly strong, but they should be moderate in the afternoon. Hopefully, not too bad in the evening, and we got a high of 64 degrees.
Alrighty, thank you so much for that, Maya. Let's go through a few more comments before you head out. So we've got Michelle White. She's over on LinkedIn. Props to everybody who tunes in on LinkedIn as well. She says, I checked the parliamentary registration and my household is registered. Well, that's good. That's good. Misha Fabla, aspiring MP for the PLP, says, well, Canvas and I have come across several who need to update their address to their current residence. Okay. Suzanne Ingham says, does this MP feel threatened by Ms. Arruda, speaking of Mr. Adams, to keep throwing stones at other parties? It's really nasty, low-blow politics. Yes, Jamal's concern should be constituents. Yeah, most definitely. Look, these tactics are just stupid, in my opinion. We've got Michael Daniel says, how marvelous would it be for our young people to spearhead the absentee voting? People got tired. And that's why I just used Bermudians Against the Draft. That wasn't something we made noise about, lost. We kept going. We lost in Supreme Court. We kept going. We lost in the appeals court. We kept going. We lost in Privy Council. We kept going. We didn't stop till we got what we want. You can say what you want about us. You don't have to like us. But we weren't here to play. This wasn't politics for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't an organization. We weren't liberal leaning. We weren't conservative. We weren't moderate. We had an issue that we were not going to go silent about. We were willing to risk our livelihoods and our freedom until we get Bermudians to that space. And I know people have mortgages and bills, but so did your ancestors. You've got to be willing to, this is not about being liked. And if you care about being liked, then activism's not for you. Ask Dr. King and Nelson Mandela, the people you love to quote. If you want to be liked, activism's not for you. And I want to leave it on this before you head out, Maya, about the well-written piece by a student named Asha Simons in the Royal Gazette. And if you haven't seen that article, I read it I think I'm on 8 times now. It was probably the most hard-hitting piece I've seen against or about the PLP to date. No, it was the most hard-hitting piece I've seen about the government to date. She held no punches. And as I said to the TDH group, it didn't seem political. Like, you don't know where she stands politically. You don't know where she leans, where her ideologies are. What it seemed like was a person who had genuine concern about the state of Bermuda and not being able to have a say. If you haven't read that, I'd encourage you all to read that letter in the Royal Gazette from Saturday from Asha Simons. It was hard. We've got to do a Days of the Year. Day of the Year is it's make your dream come true day. It's make your dream come true day. Audience, if you could make one dream come true today, what would it be? Maya.
That's a hard one, Gerard. I honestly can't even think.
I can go first if you'd like.
Go ahead.
Bring my mama back.
I thought of something similar, but I was like, that feels more like magic.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, everything takes a little bit of magic, I think, to make it come true. But
yeah.
I could dream. Geez, I mean, there's so many things that I want in life for a lot of people in the world, but I guess I'll stick with Bermuda for now. It's just like my dream is for no more homelessness, no more drugs, no more violence. I want to come on here and we just report positive, happy news every day for the rest of my life. But yeah, that would be a dream.
Yeah. Okay. Audience, what are your thoughts? It is Make Your Dream Come True Day. Make Your Dream Come True Day. What dream would you love to see? What would you like to see? Charles said, same Jamal, bring his mother back. Indeed. What else, audience? Anything that you would like to see come true? Maya, we've got to let you go, but we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll keep pushing on these conversations over the next several weeks. We've got a lot to discuss as the election dawns on February 18th. What day of the week is February 18th? Anybody know? I didn't look on the calendar. Look at that.
I can look right now. February 18th is a Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay. Tuesday. Alrighty. Make your dreams come true. What would you like to see come true? Shakara Richardson says unity in the community. All right. All right, audience. Well, MP, we'll see you in a few. We'll see you tomorrow, and we're going to take our final break. Come back with the daily play today. It's Bermuda Trivia, and it's political, so I think everyone will get this. This is a very easy question. See you tomorrow, MP.
See you tomorrow.
All right, my Palacio folks. If you've appreciated the discussion this morning, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We'll take a 1 minute, 40-second break and come back to wrap it up.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Nova's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Right. Who was the first woman to become not just the first female opposition leader in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Hey, buddy. Hun, who was the first woman to serve as opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Mason, what did you say?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Dame Lewis Brown Evans? Where do you find that?
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia. Oh, honey, I'm so proud of you. Good job.
It's true. Children are a reflection of their environment. Bermuda's favorite trivia game, fun with a purpose. To educate, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, to learn, and to enjoy. Bermuda Trivia, all volumes now available at various stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com to learn more and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to all of you who tuned in today. Again, if you haven't already, whatever platform you're on, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. I just want to thank also our partners, our dedicated partners who we are so grateful for and could not do this show without: the BAC Group, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it's Monday, and we're going to do some Bermuda Trivia today. Very easy question, folks. All right. Who is the only person to lead the One Bermuda Alliance to a general election victory? Oops, where's my music? Where's my music? Here we go. You know, Sheldon, you just said Craig. That could be Craig, anybody. You know, Craig Bridgewater, Craig Smith, Craig Richardson. But it is Craig Cannonier, as Mark Arthur C. Phillips said. Everybody knows him like firsthand. So Marquita Lee says Craig. I tell you it was an easy question, Craig Cannonier. All right, you got it. Craig Cannonier is the only person to lead the One Bermuda Alliance to an general election victory. Can Jerian Richardson pull off the same thing? Time will tell. But as of today, as of January 2025, Craig Cannonier is the only OBA leader to lead that political party to a general election victory. All right, let's wrap it up. We were talking about absentee voting today, and Maya spoke more about the students, but we spoke about absentee voting, and just want to go through any comments that we didn't go through, if any. But we've got John Seymour, who's an OBA candidate. He says, as an OBA candidate, I personally take accountability for not advocating enough for absentee voting for all citizens abroad, all of our citizens abroad. I pledge to add my voice to this cause that is long overdue. Sheldon Fox says, I don't think it matters to change it, hence why it changed. Most students may miss max 3 elections. If there are 3 over that span of undergrad, grad, it's not an issue. He says, we jump up and down when the writ is dropped and we're silent after resulting election. I don't disagree with this. We do jump up and down when a writ's drop. And this is why I keep telling people, it's more than your vote. You can't just show up during elections. You have to be consistent. Again, using Bermudians against the draft. If nothing else, whether you liked us or not, we were consistent. We banged that drum. We banged it for 15 plus years, right? So I agree. What I disagree with is I don't think it matters to change it. I would say different. And you may think that 3 elections is small. 1 election is big. That's 5 years of someone's life, Sheldon. 5 years of someone's life is not small. 3 elections could be 15 years. That's almost a generation, brother. No, I ain't down with that, Sheldon. Come on now. We can't dismiss people because of that. No. Final thoughts on this morning's show, man. Look. Let me just look at a few things. So it seems the Cayman Islands, which is a British overseas territory, allow absentee voting for registered voters who are unable to vote in person on election day. This provision ensures that citizens residing abroad, or those who cannot be physically present, can still participate in the electoral process. Now, I don't know what residing abroad means, so but that's what they have for the Cayman Islands. As Maya shared, Bahamas facilitates absentee voting for specific groups such as students and government employees stationed overseas. This arrangement ensures that these citizens can exercise their voting rights despite being away from their home country. So interesting there. And then we've got Barbados, a Caribbean island nation, allows absentee voting for certain categories of citizens, including those serving abroad in official capacities. This system enables eligible voters who are away from the country during the elections to cast their ballots. So that's a bit of information that I was able to find. Look, at the end of the day, I sit on the side that any registered Bermudian should be eligible to vote. I understand fraud, but we've got to find ways to stamp fraud out. Registered Bermudians should have the option to vote, especially if the idea is to get them to come back to Bermuda and let them have a say. Sheldon Fox said, I meant that it's not an issue because once it's not a problem for the individual, they stop caring. Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Sheldon. Fair enough. What he meant is he's not saying that it shouldn't be an issue, but after those young people get old enough and they get their vote, it no longer matters to them or doesn't apply to them, they don't care anymore. And I agree with him in that instance. You can't stop caring. I remember people telling me, oh, I want conscription's over now, what you going to fight for? It was never about just conscription. It was about people having literally rights. Wrong person. All right, folks, I have to give you some daily inspiration, don't I? I'll give you some daily inspiration straight from me. I said it to you last week, and I'll say it again today. Your purpose in politics is more than your vote. Accountability doesn't end with your vote. It's only beginning. It's time to head out, folks. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Oils, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are Izzo. Peace.